Well everyone, welcome back. Apologies for not having posted all of last week. If you didn't know, we are expecting a new addition to the family soon, as in the next couple of days. So my attention has kind of been just focused on that, rather than on the channel, which I'm sure you can all appreciate. With that said, I did want to give my impressions and feedback of Season 11 Reign of Fire, which has been out a couple of weeks now. Of course, we don't have access to all of the content. The only a part of it actually goes live, I believe, tomorrow as I've been making this video, and then we've kind of had everything aside from obviously the Manhunt targets. The known issues board for the Division 2 has recently been updated, but there's nothing really new there, so I kind of just want to focus on Season 11, my thoughts and opinions there as well. And of course, if you guys want to get involved, leave your comments down below. With that said, drop a like, subscribe. Let's get into this. So Reign of Fire is here and has been here now for a couple of weeks. The Manhunt Target follows the same formula as all previous seasons, so not really any surprises there. You know, we've got a new bad person with 4 new bad people following that main bad person. You take each one down over the season to unlock the main bad dude, and then you take them down, and there's obviously some lore tied to those characters leading into year 5. You all know the formula, there's nothing new here, but, and spoiler warning here, if you haven't played through the first Manhunt Target yet, you have been warned. A welcome surprise was the castle settlement finally getting some love. This has been something the community has been asking for since the Division 2 launched, and it's finally here. This has already been hinted at as well previously by the roadmap image used for Season 11, but it still felt really good seeing this in-game. Not to take away from this moment, but if I could have made one suggestion, I would have loved it if, with each new Manhunt target taken down, we got a new section of the castle settlement upgraded, the same way that we had the upgrade to the Haven over time. I think this may have improved the experience a little bit. It certainly would have given me more incentive to actually take out those Manhunt targets than what's currently in the game. But it's not a huge deal. I'm just glad that we finally have the castle settlement up and running. Aside from that, though, as I said, the Manhunt target went the way they always do. Now, the Manhunt target formula is something that I want Massive to really innovate on in year 5. They did make some changes in recent seasons to the Manhunts that were better, but you know, you still got the same take down the 4 bosses to get to the final boss formula, which has become for me really quite monotonous and quite boring really. I don't think it helps that each new boss is absolutely 0 lore prior to them becoming a bad guy in each new season. You know, sure, each one comes with lore in their respective season, but it's just your kind of generic bad person motive. It never feels impactful when I take down a new target. It just feels like something I have to do in order to move the story along. It's not something I feel like I should be doing or that I really want to find out about this person and what their involvement is. Of course, there is this kind of overarching story, and that does pique my interest a little bit, but I do feel like the Manhunt formula has run its course, and I would love to see Massive change this up somehow with the next season for year 5. Moving on, and let's talk about the new items added to the game, the gear, weapons, talents, etc. There's no hiding behind the fact that Ninja Bike Backpack Exotic was the biggest item to be added with Season 11, and for me is really the standout amongst everything that this season has to offer. For the first time, I actually grinded the reward track for about 8 to 10 hours non-stop in order to get the Ninja Bike Backpack as soon as I possibly could, which goes against what I've always done in my principles. I usually would go through the reward track fairly slowly, just so that it felt like I had something to keep coming back for, but with this new exotic, I just had to get it as soon as I possibly could, and thankfully it's worth the time that I invested. You don't need me to tell you how this item has drastically increased the build variety in the game, in some scenarios outperforming the Memento backpack, considered an absolute staple in some of the best builds in the game. YouTube has been flowing with new builds. Players who'd perhaps left the game have come back to try this new exotic out. Overall, this has been a huge success in my opinion and will carry many players through the season into year 5. This isn't the only addition to the game though. You've had the new Hotshot gear set. We've got the Habsburg Guard brand set as well. You combine this with the Ninja Bike backpack and Perfectly Determined, one of the new perfect talents added with Season 11. This has created some pretty powerful marksman and sniper builds, even without headshots, which was one of my kind of reservations with this season, was that it was around marksman rifles and sniper rifles, especially on console where that's not easy to do. But Perfectly Determined doesn't. You only need to get that one headshot and then you can just hit body shots and you are destroying people. I've seen so many one-shot builds recently and it's just really great to see. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the new items added to Season 11. Ninja Bike takes centre stage for me. I do hope Massive have some of that old magic. So instead of bringing back old Division exotics, which I still want, definitely, but I would like to see them create some new exotics that are up to the same standard as some of the old ones that are being brought back from the Division. Last but not least, the seasonal roadmap. The first thing that I noticed with Season 11 is there's only one apparel event. I've said in many videos before that the apparel events are the only events on the seasonal roadmap, aside from the Manhunt targets, which have lost their appeal for the reasons I mentioned before. They're the only events I look forward to because they are the only events that are new and the kind of fresh content. And I never thought I'd be saying that about a vanity item, to be honest, because vanity was never one of those things that I'm really into, and it's still not one of those things that I'm really into, but it is the only thing that I really look forward to with the new seasonal content. Leagues, in my opinion, are a very poor activity, and you know the rewards from those trinkets, backpack trophies, whatever it is, to me it's just not worth the time. Global events, unfortunately, the ones we're getting are reruns of old global events we've played 1,000 times before, and so even though and again you get the backpack trophies, so there's no real reward to it as well. So for me it's just not worth it. Plus they're just not as good as the global events from the Division, in my opinion. And that's really all you've got. You've got the vanity events, you've got the leagues, you've got the global events, and that's really it. With there only being one vanity event and a new Manhunt target each week, the only thing I'd be coming back for daily is to try new builds with the Ninja Bike backpack. And that won't last long for me as someone who's never really been a huge build person. You know, I do enjoy making builds from time to time, but I'm one of those players that I'll find a build that I really, really love, and I will just keep using that build, and I'd rather just keep using that build on a new game mode, which is why I've spent so much time in Countdown or doing control points in the open world, because these are activities that I really enjoy in the game. It's impossible for me, of course, to compare this season to other games because the support Massive have given by Ubisoft doesn't even compare. But if I was to compare, the Division 2 seasonal content is miles away from other games in the same category, and maybe I'll do another video on this in the future. In the scope of the Division 2 seasons, I think the new Ninja Bike backpack saves this season for me. You know, it's missing one extra vanity event. I think for the last 2 seasons we've had at least 2. So there's one, we've only got 1 this time, so you've lost some at there. And then everything else is the same basically, apart from Ninja Bike and some of the other weapons and stuff in the game. Out of the 3 seasons for year 4, this isn't the worst season for me, but I don't think this comes close to Season 9, which introduced some, you know, the new Countdown game mode, expertise system, and so much more than what this season is offering. Heartbreaker gear set, for example. Fortunately, I do think Massive will be going much bigger with year 5. So I do foresee much better seasons in year 5 than what we've been given this year, and certainly what we've been given for Season 11. But as always, you should temper your expectations because we really don't know anything about year 5 at the moment. I've heard some rumours about what year 5 is bringing to the game. Sounds awesome. I may or may not cover that at some point. And if they're true, then I'm definitely looking forward to it, which is why I keep saying that I know that Massive are making stuff bigger. I mean, I do know that they're going to be going bigger and better in Year 5 for sure. There's a lot of people working on the Division 2 at the moment. So, yeah, looking forward to that. But let me know what your thoughts and feedback are on Season 11 in the comments down below. If you are playing daily, what are you doing in the game? What is it that brings you back every single day? If you're coming into the game weekly, what are you coming back for? What motivates you? Let me know down below. Hopefully you guys have been able to see what my motivations are. But that's it. Overall, I would say it's a pretty normal season, to be honest. And unfortunately, because we're only getting the one vanity event, I suspect that, plus obviously what's going on in my life, I suspect that I'm going to be putting less time into this season than I've perhaps done in other seasons. Also because I've completed the reward track in 8 hours, which I don't normally do. But there we go. Until the next one, Epic out.